Finally, we're going to be working with factoring and solving quadratic equations. And we're going to go through a series of exercises factoring different types of quadratic equations and then solving them. And we start off here by factoring when B and C are positive. Now let's go over what we're really looking at here. Our standard form for a quadratic equation would be x squared plus bx plus c, and then that equal to 0. And actually we could say ax squared, where a and b are coefficients. A is the coefficient of the quadratic term and b is the coefficient of the linear term. But as we're starting off here building our skills for factoring, we're seeing that our coefficient of our quadratic term is just 1. We're going to deal with that, and then we're going to look at some where it's greater than 1. Now, let's look at this first expression that we have here, where we got d squared plus 11d plus 24. And we're just being asked to factor it when b, in this case, it's positive 11, and c, 24, are positive. Now, as we go about factoring in a quadratic, you might as well just get used to writing two sets of parentheses. Now, in this case, where I've got a coefficient, where my quadratic term, this d squared, has 1 for its coefficient, I can just write d on the left side of the parentheses. And then I'm looking at the signs of the middle and the last term. And in this case, they're both positive. Now, what we're trying to find here are two numbers that are going to multiply to positive 24 and add to positive 11. And two positives multiplied together are going to be positive. And so therefore, and if my middle term is also positive, then I'm going to have a plus sign inside of each of both of my parentheses. Now, some people like to do this. They like to use this little X method, and they're looking for two terms that will multiply to 24, putting 24 up here in the top of the X, and 11 down here in the bottom of the X. And now we're thinking, okay, two numbers that will multiply to 24 and add to 11. Well, let's just deal with 24 itself. Well, 24 and 1 multiply together to 24, but it's not going to add to 11. 2 and 12 is going to multiply to 24, but not add to 11. It'll be 14. How about 3 and 8? Well, 3 and 8 are going to multiply to 24, and they are going to add to 11. Another set I could look at would be 4 and 6. Well, 4 and 6 are going to multiply to 24, but they're going to add to 10. And so now I can determine that my factor is d plus 3 and d plus 8. And that is the factor of d squared plus, those are the two factors of d squared plus 11d plus 24. And if I wanted to, I could FOIL those back. Let's see, d times d is d squared, d times 8 is 8d, 3 times d is 3d, and 3 times 8 is 24. And then when I combine the like terms, the 3d and the 8d, well, shazam, that's 11d. And we got d squared plus 11d plus 24. Now let's look at this second expression. This one has got 9 plus 10t plus t squared. And I like to go ahead and rewrite that and put that in quadratic form. T squared plus 10t plus 9. Now again, I'm going to draw two sets of parentheses. I got a lead coefficient, the coefficient of my leading term, and the leading term is the variable raised to the greatest exponent, and we're doing quadratic, so that's going to be squared. And so I'm going to put a t out here on the left side of my parentheses. T times t is going to be t squared. And now I'm looking for two numbers that are going to multiply to 9 and add to 10. These both are positive. So inside my parentheses, I can put a plus plus. Because for two numbers to multiply to a positive number and add to a positive number, they both got to be positive. And let's see, 9. Well, 9 times 1. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. And so my two factors then are 9 and 1. And we're just going to put it in here on the right side of the parentheses. T plus 9 times t plus 1 are factors of the quadratic expression t squared plus 10t plus 9. Now next up we're going to look at when b is negative and c is positive. A little bit different strategy, but very close to this, as we are going to see.